Alright, in this video we want to look at the idea of stability. So if we have some object sitting on a surface, we can define the base of this object as t. We can call it t or b for the base. I think t is for like the track width, or in this case we'll call it b. Now the other thing that we're interested in stability is the center of gravity. And the center of gravity sits some h above the ground. This shouldn't be confused with the total height of the object. It's the height that the center of gravity is above the ground. So if we start tipping an object, what happens? Well, there's some spot where the center of gravity is directly below the base. So we talked before that if you tip an object too far, like once your object tips too far and the center of gravity is outside the base, your object will fall over. But if you tip your object so the center of gravity is still inside the base, then your object will be stable or it'll fall back over into the base. So in order to understand that critical angle, this is the theta critical of the tip, well, that theta critical here turns out to be the same as this theta here. So if we're looking at this triangle here, we replicate it here, where this is theta critical, well, this part here, this part of the triangle is half of the base, or the track. It's half of t. And this side is h. It's how high up your center of gravity is. So if we're looking at this triangle, what we see is the tangent of theta critical is defined as t over 2 divided by h. Or the tangent of theta critical is t divided by 2h. And then if you wanted to actually get that critical angle, you take the inverse tangent of both sides. So the idea is that there's some critical angle that you can tip an object, and once you're past that critical angle, your object is guaranteed to fall if it tips that far. So if you want something not to tip easily, you either drop the center of gravity and make it smaller, which means the object has to tip farther, or you widen the base, which is usually why you see like a lot of sports cars they have a very wide base and they're very short. They're not very tall. Well, that also has to do with aerodynamic things, but a lot of times you see sports cars have really wide bases and they're very shallow. But when you look at other cars, if you're thinking of like a car, as you add your luggage rack and stuff, that pushes the center of gravity higher and that makes the automobile easier to tip over. But this is the idea of theta critical. It's related to how high up your center of gravity is and how wide your base is.